Hi, welcome back to my another video. Let's talk about Millennium Castle. It is easy to remember because White's camp will develop this basic position. And here Black plays Bishop to 6-6 because Black can no longer wait to hide his plan. Even if he pushes this edge pawn, White will likely to push it back, so it is a good timing. And silver to 4-3, knight to 7-7, and pawn to 6-4. It is also a good move to apply more pressure around the bishop. And this pawn push also discourages Black to play silver to 5-7, for example, and silver to 8-8, king to 8-2, and king to 8-9. And then this silver comes out. When your opponent chooses to go for Millennium Castle, a game tends to be slow, and this silver rarely goes to the left. Instead, putting these generals is a good idea because you will have to rely on the integrity of the castle. And knight to 3-7 seems to be a little too soon, but if White pushes this pawn spontaneously, Black can punish it by activating these two knights, and eventually Black will be able to break through the central file. So White needs to be careful. And silver to 6-3, and it is a beautiful castle, right? I like this personally. Go to 7-9 and pawn to 7-4. And always remember not to play knight to 7-3 too soon because it's gonna shut the possible route for this bishop maneuver. Now Black's defense is nearly finished, so Black can shift his focus to attack like that. But it's okay. White can open up the diagonal to prepare for the battle. If Black offers the pawn exchange, pawn takes, bishop takes, and rook to 2-2 is a usual tactic for ranging rook. So he will have to drop the pawn, then bishop to 4-4. Black can take the pawn for free, but it's a little bit of a risky move because it's gonna encourage this pawn push. If Black ignores it, this silver will come out. For example, like this. Even if he tries to protect it by the pawn push, White can obtain the pawn, and this pawn is blocking the bishop as well, so it's kind of boxed. And this is not the best choice for Black, so he will likely to capture the pawn, then bishop recaptures. Clearly in the second file would be a good idea, and White can calmly move back, and then he can drop the pawn to block the rook. If Black develops the silver now, pawn drop to 5-5 would be a good idea because it also blocks the bishop, so when the silver comes out, the bishop cannot take the pawn. Like this. Now White can take the knight whenever he wants. So taking this pawn was not so great for Black. So go to 7-8 is a better move. It also creates empty space for the bishop draw, right? It is a better place than 5-7. But white can still push this pawn. If white takes it, according to my study, rook to 2-3 is interesting because if a silver comes out, bishop can take the pawn, and now this knight is unprotected, so it should be good for white. If black plays bishop to 6-8, then white can shift his focus to the central file. This pawn push is a kind of slow, and after this pawn push, a pawn drop, white can take the pawn. Black can attack the rook, but thanks to the pawn sack, the rook can take the pawn. Now, black is in a little trouble because black cannot defend the knight and prevent the rook promotion at the same time. And what about he pushes this pawn to protect the pawn? Then bishop can come out. If black takes the pawn, then bishop to 4-4 and rook to 2-8, then rook promotion will be good. And white can drop the pawn next, for example, like this. If black takes the pawn, he's gonna lose the silver, right? But if he doesn't, then this rook will be useless. So white is already winning in this position. And all the way back to this position right here. So black can play simply go to 7-8. Then rook to 4-3 is a good idea. Apparently, this kind of movement is a professional trend. I've found the similar movement in multiple games recently, and as I was going through those games, I thought this move made sense. If black plays bishop to 5-7, then pawn push to 5-5 is great. If black ignores it, it's going to be really dangerous because white can simply ignore the pawn push. And after seeing this, bishop to 5-1 will be great. Now, you know why not to play knight to 7-3 too soon is a good idea, right? Bishop will round, and then rook to 5-3 is so strong. Once this bishop is removed, the pawn promotion is going to be great, right? But there is no good defense for black, so he would keep going. But then again, white can simply ignore this and instead offer a bishop exchange. If a black defends, then white can take the bishop and pawn captures. And again, this pawn drop is so cool. If black takes it, bishop drop to 4-9, right? So white is in a better shape, and right here, black can also wait like that to reinforce his defense, but it's not gonna be any better because his right silver is still here. So it is also already too late for black to play like this. And again, bishop to 5-1. And if black decides to play bishop to 5-7, and again, this is going to be a good move for white. And after the pawn exchange, this time white can play knight to 3-3, bishop to 6-8, and then pawn push to 5-5 will be good. Now this knight is evacuated already, right? So you shouldn't be afraid of the rook promotion because the knight is not here anymore. And after this pawn sack, you need to drop a pawn. Otherwise, he will be able to defend by pawn to 5-7. So white is gonna lose a big opportunity. So pawn drop will be better. If black promotes the rook, then bishop will come out. This is great because now this silver is loose. If silver runs pawn promotion, right? So that's why this pawn drop is good. Even if he tries to defend like that, that's okay. White can take the pawn now. If black drops the pawn like that, then pawn drop to 2-6 is great. This might be a little bit difficult for some people to find, but next promotion is unavoidable. Like this. This is too strong. If dragon takes it, obviously he's gonna lose the silver, right? But it is already difficult to prevent that promotion from happening. Technically, black can defend like that, but this is almost pointless. Now this bishop is useless, right? So this is just a matter of time. Even if he defends like that, then white can simply break through the central file. So this will be good for white. Alright, 3 key moves to remember. One is this pawn push. It allows for central rook, right? Because central file is always a weak point for Millenium Castle. And next one is obviously this. It is better than 4-1 because you can reposition your rook to central file. And the last one is this. Not to play knight to 7-3 too soon. And once you remember these 3 moves, surprisingly, things will start to flow more naturally. I hope it's been helpful, and as always, thanks for watching and see you all next time. Bye.